Thanks to listening. Monsters at the movies.
He's got one foot in the frying pan and one in the pressure cooker. Believe me, as a bowler, I know that right about now, your bladder feels like an overstuffed vacuum cleaner bag, and your butt is kind of like an about-to-explode bratwurst.
Hey, you mind? I wasn't talking when you were bowling.
Was I talking out loud?
Welcome to Munsons at the Movies. My name is Kyle. I'll once again be your host. Joined by the rest of the Munsons. Want to give them a wide berth.
What is called a born loser. A real Munson.
We talk a little bit about what's going on in their worlds. This time we'll start with Aubrey.
Despite the 24-hour sickness that comes from having multiple kids in daycare and school, I'm actually not that bad. I'm sitting here watching one of our kids from last year play Division I college basketball game on ESPN. He already scored 2 points. So shout out to Tate. Hopefully Chattanooga wins. But yeah, this is the most excited I've been for a long time. This is a really exciting podcast tonight.
When you said you might not be able to make it because of sickness, I knew it was torturing you inside because I'm sure you've been prepped for this.
I was so frustrated. It was like one of the first things I thought about when I woke up was just like, if I can't do this, I'm going to be so mad.
We don't want that.
James, what about you?
Dude, I'm doing good over here other than at this point, any game of football at this point leads to me cursing out my friends because of the amount of Jets jokes they try to get off. I can't watch a college football game without like a player performing badly and someone being like, that guy's got Jets potential written all over him. Michelle Obama said, when they go low, you go high. And I go so much lower than them. So when people make Jets jokes, I bring them down to the mud at this point.
James, you're probably excited today with Dante Moore reporting that he will not be going to the draft. So you got to avoid that landmine, maybe.
He reports, he doesn't report. I'm still getting the same jokes. There's no winning. It's, the Jets lose. They don't lose enough. The Jets don't win. It's like, oh, the Jets don't win. It's just like, what do you want me to say?
Case, what about you?
Public service announcement, over-reliance on AI. I spent a good 4 hours learning how to write Python code so I could do a data scrape of box office information. Good news is I got all the box office information for Irrfan Khan. Bad news is all of it was wrong. And there was so many movies that AI was like, he's probably in this. And then a bunch of other movies where it's like, I don't know, based on the title of this movie, it probably made a couple $1 million. And they didn't make a couple $1 million. And so I had to do an extra amount of research tonight. And it's all because flipping IMDb has changed its format on the website. And you can't see box office information easily anymore. And it sucks. But other than that, I'm ready to roll.
So you're telling me we're going to help the robots learn a little bit about Irrfan Khan tonight. That's what I'm hearing.
100%.
I'm going to say something that's going to make me sound way older than I am, but I learned something recently that the kids are doing, and it completely shocked me and made me scared. They're using ChatGPT and AI as Google.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's ahead of the game. It's just not correct. It will be at some point, I'm sure, but it's not there.
It's scary.
So I like that Case. A little PSA. If you've listened to this podcast since inception in 2020, not every episode, but we're pretty anti-Nazi podcast. We make that very, very clear as often as we can.
Proudly
anti-Nazi. And I figured it's good timing and good juju for myself to say, fuck ICE, fuck the modern day Nazi. I can't speak for the rest of the podcast, but I just want to say that myself because every day I wake up and I'm like, oh, look at this chaos today. How do I pretend to do my job today while dealing with the chaos of the world? It's really fun. We're all compartmentalizing in a really effective but strenuous way that I'm sure won't have any long-term effects. And rant. That's my public service announcement. On more positive terms, we're excited to have Mike Rodmaker back on the podcast. He was born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio. He moved to LA in 2016 to pursue a career in photography and film. His work in those fields is focused on the outdoors, sports, and documentary filmmaking. He's an avid runner, climber, movie nerd, and popcorn enthusiast. He previously joined us for the Mahershala Ali, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Jim Carrey, Toni Collette, Seymour Cassell, and Tom Hardy episodes. My guess is if you stacked up all the guests and their Munson Meter scores against each other, it may not get a lot higher than Mike's appearances over the years. So welcome back to the Baat.
Thanks. It's great to be back. Yeah, I feel like every time I'm on here, somebody who's just really a joy to watch, whether it's for the wide array of roles that they've had or their performance or both. And I think it's another perfectly suited one that we're going to talk about today. So excited to be back here, excited to talk movies, excited to give myself an excuse to watch 4 or 5 movies in a day a couple of times. And that's great, man. A lot of good stuff to talk about here and just excited to be here.
Well, it's good to have you back. Episode 7, I think, for you. Episode 7. So
I think so. That sounds right.
Ooh. Lucky number 7. Let's rock, let's roll, boys.
Yep.
All right, birthday is January 22nd. 3 goodies. First and foremost, we've got Diane Lane, one of my favorites, as you all know. Unfaithful, Inside Out, Tully, Lonesome Dove, Under the Tuscan Sun, The Outsiders, a very young version of her in The Outsiders, Cinema Verite, Superman's Mom in the Snyderverse, Chaplin, Hardball, Jack, and the ever-famous Serenity, featuring Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway. How old is Diane Lane?
Who is she in Inside Out?
Who is she in Inside Out?
She's the mom, I think, in Inside Out.
Oh, okay. God, that movie made me cry.
By Superman's mom, do you mean defining plot point to build a universe around? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. In a less succinct way, yes.
Diane Lane, 62.
I'm going to go a little bit under that because I think it's remarkable that she could be working as long as she has and be 24.
So she was negative however much in The Outsiders. Love that. Good math.
In trying to be accurate but yet respectful, I'm going to say 60.
What are you implying there?
Nothing. Well, James is being disrespectful.
You're implying that I'm wrong?
No. This is a shot at James.
I'm going to do 57.
The not so real answer is timeless. That's how old she is.
Naturally.
Because she is timeless. But the real answer is 61. So Case with his jab at James comes in at the last second there.
That was close, though.
Accurate jab at James.
How dare you? On her behalf, I'll say that. Okay. Next up, we've got Jim Jarmusch. I tried to use a GIF of Jim Jarmusch in Discord, but Discord I don't think has any GIFs of a GIF, whatever you want to call it. A famous director who's known for projects like The Dead Don't Die, Patterson, Only Lovers Left Alive, Broken Flowers, Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai, Dead Man, Coffee and Cigarettes, and Neil Young music videos. How old is Jim Jarmusch?
Man, Kyle, not only have I never heard that name before, because of how you struggled with it, I don't think it's a real name.
He is a real person. Can confirm. All those movies are real, James. I promise.
I'm going to go solely based off the picture you sent me. Again, could be a stranger. I mean, you could have just sent anybody wearing sunglasses. And I'm going to say 67.
I didn't see that picture, and I think I realized by not seeing that picture, I've never seen what Jim Jarmusch looks like.
Yeah.
But I have always assumed he's really old.
Yeah.
I've only seen 2 of his movies based off that list you gave. Both of them very weird.
Patterson and The Dead Don't Die.
Yeah. Dead Don't Die was awesome. I like that movie a lot.
We covered Dead Man on the podcast a couple years back. It was pretty good.
I'm sure he's a really talented filmmaker, and how he has kept his anonymity, I don't understand, and I respect him. I will say he is 65.
You listed an awful lot of projects, so I'm going to say, let's go 75.
Okay.
It's real tough because the hair seems like 75, 80, but he's got really great skin.
He moisturizes.
He must. I don't know, man. Yeah, I'm going to go 65.
Okay, he's turning 73, so I think you were the closest of the bunch. So congratulations.
I know everything there is to know about Jim Jarmusch.
You got everything you needed right there. All right, last one. We've got Linda Blair, known for the girl who's possessed in The Exorcist, also in Exorcist 2. Savage Island, Savage Streets, Born Innocent, Airport 1975, Roller Boogie, Hell Night, and The Exorcist parody, Repossessed. How old is Linda Blair?
Ooh. She started so young, it's hard to do the math. Let's go 65. I got no idea.
My mind, Exorcist is early 70s, right? And if she's playing a 10-year-old or like 11-year-old in the early 70s. I mean, she'd have to be born in like the late 50s. This is how a guy with ADD gets a master's. I don't have this knowledge. I'm just trying to beat the test. She's got to be like my parents' age, probably like 65.
So 2 votes for 65 here?
Oh, he said 65, 66. Screw that.
Dang it. Real tight window.
It's a lot of great math. I don't know about these dates that you guys have been putting out. I don't know anything about those. I don't know how they factor into this, these fake dates. I'm going to say it's got to be no higher than 30.
Are you flirting with these people or what?
Yes, that is correct. He's just letting it be known that there is a chance.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'm playing this as straight as I can.
I'm going to go, just for round numbers' sake, because I also have no idea. Let's go 70 on the dot, and if that's true, I think she looks great for 70.
I would love to tell you you're right, Rodmaker, but you're not. You shot over a little bit. She's turning 67, so James, with the last-second switch, says, fuck you, Case. You said negative things about the first one. I'm going to get you 2 in a row, you son of a bitch.
Turnabout is fair play.
Well, happy birthday to those 3 and anybody else with a birthday on January 22nd. All right, we reached episode 130. We had 5 actors we threw onto the wheel. They were Jason Sudeikis, Kathy Moriarty, Lawrence Fishburne, and Margot Martindale. Doesn't really matter because the wheel selected Irrfan Khan, who has 175 credits, 2 directing, 3 producing. He did pass in 2020, and so we'll talk a little bit about that. But he also has a wide array of Bollywood projects, which we have never really covered on this podcast in 130 episodes, so this is going to be exciting. But before we get into the nitty-gritty details, the roles we loved, the ones we hated, and anything in between, we always start with a little actor trivia to see if James can stump Fast and Furious style, and he's still chugging along 130 episodes later.
At this point, I need some controversy in their lives so I can get some more interesting facts, because we are running out of things that I would qualify as interesting, and more so now I have to qualify them as incredibly tricky when compared to someone else. Rodmaker, you are part of the initiated, so you understand this game. But for those new listeners at home, which might be Mr. McKay's students, I'm going to read off 3 facts here, 2 of which are going to be true about Irrfan Khan, 1 of which is not going to be true about him, but will be true about one of the many illustrious cast members of the Fast and Furious franchise. Gentlemen here are going to have to guess which one that is. Fact number 1, he bluffed his way into acting school by exaggerating his acting experience on his application, which led to him receiving a scholarship, which allowed him to leave home and receive the professional training since he had no money for schooling otherwise. Fact number 2, as a child, he tried to cut the string of a kite that got stuck on a wire above his house, and he fell off the roof of his house, broke his arm, which ultimately led to a deformity since it healed improperly. Fact number 3, he worked 3 jobs a day to pay bills and fund his theater career and acting aspirations. During the day, he worked at a PR agency. After that shift, he would do food delivery for supermarkets, and then he would wait tables at night.
So I think number 2 is the lie.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody knows that Gal Gadot was a big kite fan when she was younger. And everyone knows that she did fall and she had a deformity from it. And it's called being incredibly attractive and being a mediocre actor. And she's been stuck with it ever since.
Yeah, I think it's fact 2 as well, but I think that's about Benjamin Franklin. His adventures with kite are well known.
We're talking about Fast and Furious, not drunk history case.
Sometimes it's the same thing.
I have to agree. Fact 2 is the lie. It is about someone who I think if I can find them in funny situations with these facts, I have to bring up every time. So I think it's Tyrese. And I think the image of Tyrese flying kites and falling off of a roof is funny and Watts.
What's the deformity he's been stuck with since then?
He's bald. I don't know. Can hide deformities. I have no idea what his deformity is. He wouldn't share. He's not that type of actor.
To play devil's advocate, I will skip the second one.
Yeah.
And I will say the lie is the third one, which was working 3 jobs.
That's correct.
Okay. And that was absolutely... And one of these days I should watch any of the Fast and Furious movies. But for now, I'll say that's Sigourney Weaver.
Is she in... Well,
Mike just said he's never seen him, so can you really knock the guy?
No.
So no one picked fact number one, which is true. He bluffed his way into acting school. So his father passed away when he was 19. And as the oldest son at that point, he was expected to take over his father's like tire shop business, take care of his mom. Honestly, in his mind, he was already kind of drawn to the arts. And so he saw a couple Bollywood shoots in his town, and he wrote like his application to the National School of Drama. And he just lied about like all of his acting experience. And they were like, wow, this young kid's incredible. And they gave him a scholarship, and he moved out of the house immediately. He was just like, yep, see you guys later. Good luck with that tire shop. That's not my thing. I'm going to go do some acting. Fact number two, as a child, he tried to cut down the string of a kite, got stuck, fell off the roof of his house, broke his arm, and has a deformity. That is true. So he fell, broke his arm, and his family ignored the injury. At that time, it led to his arm healing improperly and became weak and deformed. And it led to him being like teased incredibly by kids because, I mean, kids at a certain age, they're like, oh, you don't like the size of your nose? That's all I'm going to talk about. He said it was ruthless when it came to his arm. He does have that deformity. Obviously, it's, it improved, and he actually became a pretty good athlete too. But his arm and wrist on his left side, it all moves different compared to his right. And he's like, I still had an embarrassment as an adult, even though I was teased when I was like 10. Still maintains, though, in every interview I saw, obviously he's passed. Loves flying kites. He would fly kites on set at movies and stuff. Fact number three, worked the 3-day jobs. That is not true. So he was incredible skilled cricket player. So he took that deformity and focused on sports, and he got selected to play at a tournament that's like a stepping stone to play pro cricket. So it's like the come show out. We'll see if you can match up. But he did get the invite. Again, incredibly broke at that time. So he couldn't go, and due to lack of funds. So he worked as an air conditioner repairman. After that, he was like, I'm not going to be a pro cricket player. I want to focus on acting. The person I discussed was actually Luke Evans, who famously portrays Owen Shaw, who is Madeline Shaw's son and Deckard Shaw and Hattie Shaw's brother in Fast and Furious 6, Furious 7, and The Fate of the Furious. He worked the 3 jobs and busted his ass. He actually had more than 3. It's just he averaged 3 a day.
Yikes.
Wow. We haven't got a Luke Evans shout out before. I like it. Good work, James.
Yeah, man.
Fascinating guy. Case, what do we got for a box office snapshot for somebody who has done Hollywood, Bollywood, and all sorts of Indian projects over the years?
Yeah, his box office snapshot was near impossible to compile. Between the heavy volume of Bollywood films, the amount of converting Indian currency into US dollars, and the insane clunkiness of the new format of IMDb, this was not an enjoyable endeavor. Of all the credits that I have, the movies I've listed, I have just over 30% full box office information. As far as I can remember, that's the lowest we've got. We're going to have to take these numbers with a grain of salt, but it might still provide a good place to start from. Average budget, he comes in ranked 123rd with $18.8 million per movie. Total box, he comes in at 46 with $3.8 billion. Thank you to Jurassic Park, which I think is probably about a third of his world gross. Star meter, he's at 46th, which was a lot higher than I thought it was going to be. Critic ranking, he's 6th with 70.9%, which not a surprise. Wow. Fan ranking, he's 67th at 59.8, and he's 129th and 130th in 2 different box office metrics, which gives him an overall ranking of 84th out of 130.
So those last 2 really tank him.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm hearing, because I thought he was going to be higher than that. I thought he was going to be like in the 40s.
Yeah.
I'm blown away that his $3.8 billion box office brings him up to just above the Mendoza line 40-something place. Like, I figure that should be in the top 10, but man, we must have some heavy hitters on there.
Oh, yeah.
So many superhero movies.
Within the last week, he shot up to number 691 in IMDb Star Meter. He was just almost 6,000 a week ago, and now he's at 691.
It's probably the 5 of us.
I'd say,
It could be.
You know how much we've been on that profile?
Typed his name into IMDb so many times and just kept searching him specifically.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, dude, the amount of times I had to look him up to try to find Slumdog Millionaire, I definitely juiced those numbers for sure.
The Munson's boost, as they call it.
It made it into the records. I never thought about that before.
Send your publicist to us. We got you.
That's funny. It's tough to really dive into numbers because he's got some numbers that are absurdly low that we like to make fun of. But then you're like, we don't know if it was reported accurately. There's just a lot of things that we don't know.
Yeah.
It was infinitely frustrating, but it was also pretty interesting to kind of see the difference of the Hollywood movies versus the Bollywood movies and kind of go in that direction. I'm intrigued about our conversation tonight, if nothing else, because of the box office snapshot, but I was not surprised by his high critic ranking.
A lot of the Bollywood stuff doesn't have ratings on Rotten Tomatoes from what I could see.
Maybe 2/3 of it fan ranking and then about half of the critic rankings.
I imagine his 312 episodes of Banegi, Apni, Baat didn't make it into your rankings case.
They did not.
And that's in 1 year. 1994, you had 312 episodes in one show.
He's got 7 movies in 2003.
Rotten Tomatoes should be able to do that because they're just aggregating reviews. One would have to assume that there are movie critics in India.
Yes.
Those things that Kyle just referenced, though, that we're going to talk about here in a second, those are all like soap operas. So
yeah,
soap operas from 94 that knock out an episode a day. There might not be that many reviews that are in English that we can find. Yeah.
The episode of television a day is crazy.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that before in 130 episodes. Absolute bananas. Case, thanks.
You.
Laying the land for how fascinating this guy is. First major role we're going to talk about is 2001. This gentleman was born in 1967. So to James's very almost immediate point, fascinating start in the world of entertainment when you're almost 40 years old when you get your first major role in a Bollywood film. So born in 67 as Sahabzade Irfan Ali Khan in Tonk, Rajasthan, which from my map usage tells me it's about 5 hours southwest of New Delhi. New Delhi's in the northwestern part of India. I went on a whole barrage last night because of the movie Piku, because they said they had to drive 40 to 45 hours to where they were going in Bengali. And I was like, all right, is that real? And 1,000 miles from Delhi to where they were going in that movie. I was like, okay, that tracks. That's a long trip. India's huge. That's basically what I'm trying to say. It's massive.
It is.
Yeah.
But born southwest of New Delhi, to James's point, his parents were in the tire business. He was really good at cricket growing up, apparently. So he got selected to play in the CK Nayudu Trophy, but couldn't afford the travel expenses, right? Didn't come from a terribly wealthy family. Also, disclaimer, we're 5 American men. We may butcher these pronunciations, so please give us grace here. We will, 100%. But we're going to give it our best college try. Please don't come for us in the comments. His uncle was a theater artist in Jodhpur, and that's what inspired him to get into acting. James talked about it a little bit. He started in stage work, got his MA before joining the National School of Drama, or NSD, in New Delhi to study acting.
For someone who gives off a vibe of, confident in himself, I won't necessarily say confidence, but confident in himself for sure. He was incredibly insecure growing up. I mean, he mentioned, one kind of feeling ignored by his family when he broke his arm to the point where it led to a deformity that he got picked on. Like, that's going to mess you up when you're a little kid. And then he gets older and, he's now in 1920s and he gets into acting, and someone told him that he looked like a famous actor, and they named the actor, and it was essentially, he's like, someone told me essentially I was tall, dark with a big nose and I wasn't attractive. And I was like, oh, brutal. And so he started to sleep with a pin on his nose to make it smaller. And then he would style his hair specifically like the famous person he was told he looked like. And he's like, what if I was like the good looking version of that? So this dude's like been forced to be, self-conscious his whole life growing up. And then I just think it's incredible for him to kind of turn it into this actor that can just display confidence and display all the emotions on a world stage like that. It's pretty interesting.
It's hard to build a show notes around his early days because, one, if you could find his Indian projects early on YouTube or something like that, none of them have English captions, so it's not a good experience whatsoever. but a lot of it is extremely hard to find. There's almost no information about it on IMDb. So as much as we wanted to do a deep dive into 312 episodes of an Indian soap opera, you're probably not going to run into good luck trying to find those things. But think about it. He gets to start in 1983 on Kaala. I think his first Hollywood film was The Namesake in 2006, right? So he went 32 years before he crossed over into the Hollywood space. Is there a film before Namesake that he did?
I don't think so.
So 32 years of grinding it out. And I say Indian scene because he didn't really enter Bollywood, the film side, until he made his film debut in 1988, but that really didn't take his career many places either. So I think it was his first lead role was in Raj in 2005. So it took him 21 years in that scene to even get a lead role in a Bollywood film. So, I mean, the dude's hustling.
For sure. Like,
to your point, and almost quit acting multiple times.
Pilot offers, and we'd film them and they'd get shelved like immediately. I forget the number he dropped, but he was clearly exaggerating, but he was mentioning, like, I've done so many pilots that never saw the light of day that after 25 years, I just didn't even expect things to, like, actually be shown to people. It's like, oh, I got a check for the day. That's okay, I guess. If you look at his IMDb trivia and you get past the first, like, 15 or 20, every fact is about how he filmed a thing and it never came to light. He was in this and never came to light. He was in this. It's just like, it's kind of sad after you're like, wow. But that's the work you have to do. I know so little about the film scene in India that, like, I don't know if that's common or not. Like,
yeah, it seems extraordinarily competitive to get to the Shah Rukh Khan or the Amir Khan level. I've seen a lot of Bollywood stuff, but I would still consider myself a novice for really understanding the world, just not being from it. But to kind of color to what we were talking about, in 1986 to 1993, if you look through his IMDb, he did 30 different roles in Indian film and television. And from what I could see, even in Wikipedia, doing like a quick overview, a very wide range of types of roles. It's not like, hey, he was the rom-com guy and that's what he did for a lot of years. You see anything from crime to drama to romance, like a variety of different types of roles that he's playing over the years. Again, it was hard for us to track any of that down, but it seems like he didn't pigeonhole himself into one type of role. Like I said, 1988 was his first film, Salaam, and then you see him start to do a range, basically from between like 94 and 97, he starts doing a lot of recurring characters on shows. So you've got the great Maratha. He played Najib. He was in 47 episodes of that in 1994.
These are all in the same year. Yeah, I just put it together.
Now this is even more crazy. It's all in the same year.
Oh.
I just put it together. So 1994, he does 47 episodes of The Great Maratha. He does 133 episodes of Chandrakanta, playing various characters, and 312 episodes of Banegi, Apni, Baat. Who's keeping score at home? That's almost 500 episodes of television in 1 year.
Were they filming on the same stage?
They for sure were. I saw a quote somewhere that said, like, he was a TV star who lived so humbly, and they mentioned how he lived next to the studio in like a tiny apartment, and this has to be the reason why.
Yeah.
there's no way he could have time to do anything else.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely bananas.
What does that shooting schedule look like?
That's crazy.
It's all day.
Mm-hmm.
Like countless amounts of episodes. That's insane work ethic.
I'd have to just play myself and everything. I wouldn't even know what show I'm on at that point.
Yeah, like does someone remind him?
Like, today you're this person. Like, I'm just going to be James in every scene. I'm sorry, guys.
Irfan, you're not Najib today. My bad.
Yeah.
Wrong set. And the fact that in 1995, he marries Sutapa Sikdar, a writer and fellow graduate of the same school he went to. Where does he find the time to have a relationship during that?
Yeah, I bet she works with him. It's
a crap table.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess. It's just we'll see each other at work.
I'm going to be with you 20 hours a day. Let's hang out.
So we know for going forward, no one was busier than Irrfan Khan in the mid-90s.
No way.
This is another one of those American bias things because we talk about how much Samuel L. Jackson works. Samuel L. Jackson doesn't work like Irrfan Khan worked.
No.
He's lazy.
Oh, you have time to shower? Sorry, buddy.
If you think about it, it makes sense because he wanted to be an actor, but then he was AC repairman. And then he's like, hold on, I get to do this for a living. You want me to star in 3 roles a day? 100%. So he's like, this is easy. I love this.
That's like 495 episodes of release in 1 year. Bonkers production there in the mid-90s. But he gets married to Sutapa. They have 2 sons together. One of his 2 sons is also an actor, so followed in his father's footsteps. Next up, the next big role he had was Jai Hanuman from 97 to 2000 and played Valmiki, so another recurring character. I don't know how many episodes he was pulling on that one. But again, there's a lot of projects in the mid to late 90s here that just don't have much information on IMDb. So if you're interested, scope it out.
It's good to see him slow down between 95 and 2000 and only do 37 more roles as a machine.
I would imagine a year of 495 episodes probably wears you out. And you probably like, I'm going to slow down to like AC repairman level production. You know?
He had kids like a year later, bro. He had to stop.
Didn't take long. So all this is building up to what we're calling his first major role, which is the film The Warrior from 2001, where he plays Lafcadia. And I was excited to have this one drop in my hands. If you haven't seen The Warrior, go see it. Part 2 of my recommendation, because it's a great movie, is don't do what James and I did and trust the Roku channel when it says you're going to watch The Warrior with Irrfan Khan. And you click on it, and you start watching for about 20 minutes, and you realize you're not watching The Right Warrior. It's very different, with very different language, and no Irrfan Khan.
You're watching the movie Lone Hero, which, by the way, did look interesting.
Yeah, it's Lone Hero. I had to check. Yeah. Kyle, I must have stopped and looked at the pause screen that is The Warrior like 5 times. And I was like, it says The Warrior. And it's a picture of him on the pause screen. I was like, all right, I guess he pops up soon. And I press play and I was like, what the fuck is happening right now? I got to do a real deep dive online, because when you go on like Rotten Tomatoes, there's no pictures of the rest of the cast. And I'm like, maybe he's in this movie. I don't fucking know.
Yep. He's definitely in this film based in feudal India, where a warrior who renounces his role as a longtime enforcer to a local lord becomes the prey in a murderous hunt through the Himalayan mountains. That's definitely what happened in this movie that is English dubbed.
Yeah, it was tough.
That's the plot of The Actual Warrior from 2001. This movie is a crisp 86 minutes, and if you watch enough Bollywood filmmaking, you know anything less than 2 hours is a blessing, because Bollywood films are long. If you go see Lagan with Amir Khan, it's like a 4-hour movie. There's like 7 or 8 different song and dance sequences. I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts on the song and dance sequences you might have caught. Because it's like, oh, Slumdog Millionaire does at the end. Yeah, because they know American audiences can handle that one time in the post-credits, not 5 times to push plot through the whole film. We're not built for that. The movie was chosen by the UK as its entry into the Oscars in 2003 for Best Foreign Language Film, but was rejected by the Academy because Hindi is not a language indigenous to the UK. Imperialism 101. However, it went on to win Best British Film at the BAFTAs, which is ironic and hilarious.
So should we shout out the Oscars on this, or?
We do need to shout out the Oscars, because they're basically saying you can't pawn this off as your own.
Who knew the Academy would be getting praise for not being racist?
Uh-huh.
They're being at least anti-imperialist.
And then it won Best British Film at the BAFTAs the next year. Which is absurd.
I love it.
Basic gist, at 34 years old, Irrfan Khan is the lead role in this movie as Lafcadia. It was apparently his first lead role as an actor, with the director taking a chance on him. Khan credits this role with saving his career. He almost quit acting. He plays a lead enforcer role who defies his directive and becomes the hunted. From the start of the film, they frame him as a father who's tormented by his choices, who is experiencing significant moral challenges with his work. In 86 minutes, that's a short amount of time. You really got to try to drive that pretty quickly in the first 10 to 15 minutes if you want the rest of the movie to work, and I think they do a good job of it. While he isn't a physically imposing force as an enforcer, when you think enforcer, you don't think Irrfan Khan. But why I think it works is because he's a sympathetic one. This is probably the role where I really started to fall in love with Irrfan Khan's acting style, because it's a very subtle role. There's not a lot of dialogue, especially in the second half of the film. And he expresses a lot of pain, agony, angst, sadness, all through his facial expressions. He's got an intensity in his eyes that you really feel his emotions as an actor. And he has this ability to convey a really complicated set of feelings without having to yell or fill a room with a lot of noise or eccentricity. From what I read, why the director cast him, because he saw his potential as a quiet but powerful hero. For example, there's a scene where his son gets killed covering for his father's disappearance. Very, very sad. And without a word spoken, as a viewer, experience a very deep sense of loss and grief for him. And it's all because of the way he's just emotionally reacting to the situation. The story unfolds by giving him the opportunity with a young man whose family he or someone like him likely killed, as he comes face to face with his former choices. Gorgeous landscapes shot on location in India. It's a beautiful film. My only beef with the movie, at the end, he tosses a knife that was used in mass genocide into a river with light rapids. It reminded me of the scene from Without a Paddle, where he says, "Thanks for breaking glass where my kids play." Throwing a fucking knife in there is probably not going to be great for anybody who decides to go in that river. It wasn't like it was some rapids that was going to send, now, like someone's going to step on that. But that's a very minor Without a Paddle reference, but I think it's a beautiful film. Irrfan Khan, I think, was an unconventional but really interesting choice to play that role. And I highly recommend people check it out.
I tried so hard to check it out, man. I can't wait to one day actually watch this movie.
Where did you actually get it, Kyle?
I rented it on, I think, Apple TV Plus.
Yeah, the sickness took this one away from me. This was on my list to watch yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like queued up to rent and everything. I was actually deciding earlier during that day to watch this or Puzzle. And I chose Puzzle. I figured it'd be easier to watch. I never got to The Warrior because I was vomiting in the Santa Fe courtyard, so I didn't get to see it.
Irrfan Khan's a tough actor to prep for. If you just want to listen to something in the background. With so much stuff in Hindi, you have to pay attention.
It's undivided attention.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you said, though, sounds like, one, everything I like about him as an actor, two, everything I like about movies. And there was two things I missed in watching his movies. I didn't see any action movies. I didn't see any of the Bollywood stuff with all of the musical numbers. Those were the two things I wanted to see that I didn't get to.
Oh.
Those runtimes scared me off, man. This is one I'll watch, though.
You'll love it.
Even without prepping, I'll just go watch this. It sounded good. It made it sound even better.
The second and third act, it's just him reacting to situations and carrying emotion and grief. It's an Aubrey special.
Yep.
02 to 03, 7 films, only 3 with Rotten Tomatoes score. So again, while The Warrior did get him some acclaim in those spaces, not a lot of acting awards that came along with it, but the film, notariable. He's still working. He's doing some other projects there. But that's going to take us to what we're calling our highest critic score from 2003, which is a movie called Maqbool, and Case has it. I'm really interested in your perspective on this one, Case, because I watched this 2 nights ago. I'm interested to see if you draw the same comparison to American cinema as I did.
I doubt it, because you're usually a much more critical thinker than I am, so we'll see if I can get there.
I don't know about that.
According to my records, this is one of 2 movies on his list that have 100 critic ranking. Another almost 2 handfuls of 90 plus. We had good opportunities for high critic score here. This was an interesting one. 2003 Hindi crime drama. It's based on Shakespeare's Macbeth, which I did not know.
Same.
Set in the Mumbai underworld, it follows Mayan Maqbool, played by Irfan, the loyal right-hand man to the powerful and aging Don named Abaji. He commands respect with the gang and shares a close bond with his fellow lieutenant. However, at one point, the story starts to turn a little bit because 2 corrupt police officers prophesize that Maqbool is going to one day lead the syndicate. That gets him thinking of like, maybe I could. And then it spawns an affair with Nimi, who is the crime lord's, I thought it was his wife, but it's his lover of some sort. Nimi, the wife or the mistress, she's really trying to get out of this arrangement. And so she manipulates Maqbool to eventually kind of take hold of this prophecy. And he eventually murders Abaji in his sleep, framing the rival gang. Takes over leadership, and then slowly but surely the strings start unraveling, and this murder plot, whether it be guilt or suspicion by other people, eventually they start kind of falling apart. The finale of this movie I thought was really interesting. I really liked the way that the final scene was shot, where Maqbool is killed. It's a first-person view of somebody falling, getting shot, and then like slowly falling to the ground, slowly turning up. You're looking up at the sky in the building, and then eventually they shoot Irfan on the ground and see him there dying. It was really an interesting shot. I enjoyed that a lot. This performance continues what Kyle was saying before about how he can rely heavily on silence and body language rather than dialogue. As his character descends from loyal soldier to paranoid, guilt-ridden wreck, he conveys the internal torture almost entirely through his eyes. Chemistry between him and Tabu, who plays Nimi, is electric, grounding the high-concept tragedy in very real, very physical desperation. If you're a fan of him, I would say this and Warrior are probably two movies you have to watch. The thing that was very strange about it, there was a heavy reliance on handguns.
Weirdly held handguns, too.
Yeah, it's like just out of the blue, they would be like telling a joke to somebody. They'd put a gun up to their head, and then they'd be like, isn't that funny? And you're like, what is going on? Like, I guess India in 2003 was a wild space. Putting that aside, it was a fun movie to watch. You get to practice your reading skills, too. So make sure you break your readers out and watch this movie with your reading glasses and enjoy yourself a nice cup of tea. It was a good movie. You know, I'm not a big Shakespeare guy. I don't know a lot about the Macbeth story. And I think critically it's been lauded as one of the best remakes of Macbeth from a lot of different reviews I read.
I really like the guy who plays Khan, I believe his name is. I was watching and I was like, this dude is killing this role, like boss. And I paused it. This dude looks exactly like my dad. He looks Bro, I was dying laughing. I was like, that dude looks so much like my dad. That's crazy.
The character I really liked in there was Maqbool's sidekick. The guy that had the son that ended up marrying Abaji's daughter.
Yep.
That dude had so much charisma. He was fun.
I liked Inspector Pandit. He was the one that kept pointing to like horoscopes the whole film. And he's like, this is what I see in your future. I just thought that was hilarious.
He was so confident and casual about it at the same time. It was very entertaining.
Tabu, who plays Nimi, plays his young wife in The Namesake 4 years later, too. So that crossover happens again.
Okay.
Dude, her character is so funny. I was like, you got to get out of there, man. This girl's going to get you killed. Like, what are you doing?
See, when she's just got the gun up to his head?
It's like, I get it, man, but you're going to die.
So before the film, I also didn't know the Shakespearean connection to it. I was just kind of went into it blind. As I'm finishing up the movie, I was like, this feels like the Hindi version of Scarface.
Oh, yeah.
Right, of like the gang lord and the young gun comes up and takes over. And then I was like, but it also feels Shakespearean. And then I looked and I was like, yeah, that's what it is.
That's a good parallel, too. You guys were talking about Nimi. I didn't realize this because, I'm not completely up to date on my Bollywood trivia, but she's one of the greatest actresses of all time in Bollywood films. I didn't realize how highly regarded she was. When you got one name, you know you got it going on. So
that's what I was about to say.
She's killing it.
All right, 2004 to 07, he has another 9 films in there with limited Rotten Tomato scores. It says online that his technical first Bollywood lead role was Raj, but I would say The Warrior and Maqbool would fall under that. I didn't realize this before. When we first said Irrfan Khan, like everybody talked about a different movie that everyone knew him from. I think Aubrey talked about Jurassic World. Somebody said Spider-Man or Life of Pi. He is probably the most prolific crossover actor from Bollywood to Hollywood. There are others who have done a couple American projects, but if you Google it and say who has done the most, Irrfan Khan's probably who has been in the most high profile, and he's turned down a lot of big high profile roles, which we'll talk about as well. But it all started with him playing Ashok in The Namesake in 2006, a movie that features Kel Penn, I think right after Kelvin Kumar, which is really interesting. Irrfan, he's in an arranged marriage, but he comes back to India because he's a professor in the United States, and he gets married to this young woman played by Tabu, and they come back to the States. She is now in a new culture with no friends while her husband is teaching at the university, and they have a son. They name him Gogol because Irrfan Khan character at the time is obsessed with the Russian writer Gogol. And they didn't want to name him Gogol because in Indian culture, I guess at that time, you usually wait a couple days to name the child. Like the family helps name the child, but they're in an American hospital and they're like, no, you can't leave until we finish the birth certificate. So he names him after his favorite Russian writer. And it's a really interesting and poetic story about how Kal Penn's like struggling with identity as he's dating non-Indian women and learning over time about why his dad named him what he did, and his dad's story about getting into a really bad train wreck when he was younger. And because of that, that's the reason he left and decided to go get higher education and move to America and do things he never would. It's a really interesting story, one, to see Irrfan Khan in his first American crossover, but two, to see Kal Penn in a dramatic role, because that's not usually what I think of with Kal Penn.
I'm pretty sure that the director of this, Mira Nair, she was going to cast Irrfan in one of her movies like 15 years prior.
Salaam Bombay.
Yeah, and bailed and was like, oh, no, he's not the right fit for the right role. And then put him in this, and it ended up being like his breakthrough. I always hated her, and then, she's the reason I broke in. She nailed it. It was my breakthrough role.
Yeah, it was Salaam Bombay, which was his first Bollywood film in '88, but they almost wrote out his entire character back then. So that's a cool redemption arc. I didn't realize that.
So can you be mad at someone and then be like, well, artistically, you kind of nailed it, I guess. Like, I don't know how I would have been in that other. It was like, you helped me out for sure.
Interesting movie to watch. Watching an Indian family have to adjust to American culture while having a son in America who's trying to adjust to family, understanding his origin and his father's trauma. Really fascinating movie. Highly recommend people check it out. And then we had Life in a Metro. He plays Monty in 2007. But let's take it to James to talk about Partition. From 2007, plays Avatar alongside Nev Campbell as our largest audience gap.
Yeah, so Partition is got a 38% critic score, 73% audience score. And it's one of those movies that wastes no time telling you like exactly what you're going to experience. From the opening moments, I was like, oh, this movie's going to suck. Like, it is melodramatic, capital M. We're talking... There's horrific war. There's, babies feeding from dead moms and small boys' bodies like being shoveled up. Like, it's so over the top, but it's not like realistic. It's like filmed in like a Hallmark movie style. So I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be so bad. And then I kind of just appreciated how it grabs you. And it's like, hey, welcome to the most dramatic movie you're ever going to watch. And I just sat down and I enjoyed it so thoroughly. It takes place the day after the British finally left India after World War II, after occupying it for like 200 years, because Britain's the world's first original bad guy. And so it's right after that. And at first I resisted, but the suffering is so immediate and so exaggerated that it's kind of feels parody. Like, I was cracking up. Then you finally meet the hero of the story, and he is a very handsome Hindu pacifist. And so this is where I locked in the plot, because now I'm like, all right, I totally understand what's happening right now. He's a man, he's so gentle and principled that, the universe is just going to test him, relentlessly. It's like so dramatic. He's also hot, which helps. And he always does the morally right thing to do. The first note I made after I started realizing what was happening, because it made me laugh out loud, is they telegraph that he's into white women. Like, it's first thing, it's like, hey, there's going to be a biracial love story in this. And I was like, okay, all right, like, we're going down the path. Let's do it.
So he's like Kal Penn in The Namesake. Nice.
Dude, and then it's like the movie kind of treats his story like the world can coexist if we're all just kind, peaceful, and hot. We just like have hot families and, like hang out. Like, it's not a big deal. Nev Campbell, she's English woman who leaves, but they're flirting the whole time. Again, very into the white women. But then he meets a Muslim woman who is played by the whitest woman who's not technically white possible. Like, I had to look her up and go down her Wikipedia page. I was like it has to like kind of fit the criteria.
Kristen Kruk is from Canada and is Chinese and Dutch, to your point.
And let me tell you, they go real in detail on her Wikipedia about how kind of Chinese she is. Clearly, she wanted to address this. Like, she's got great grandmothers, where they're from. You meet Irrfan Khan, and he is like the no-nonsense antagonist, absolute conviction. This is a holy war. I'm killing them. There's no moral gray area. All Muslims must die. There's no saving anyone. And he crushes it. It's like so over the top for everyone else. And he comes in and it's like, all right, so that's a real actor amongst like amateurs, and you're like scared of him. You totally get it. He delivers like extremism with such calm authority. it like grounds this ridiculous film. I wanted to hate this movie. I enjoyed every moment of it.
I started it. It's just one of those. I just never got around to finishing it. Didn't hate it. It wasn't like I'll never come back. I just never got around to it. But I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm just glad to hear that Irrfan crushed his role because it doesn't shock me at all.
No, he did, for sure.
He's a consummate professional at this point in his career. All right, so from one hard-hitting subject to another, in 2007's A Mighty Heart, alongside Angelina Jolie, just a lighthearted story about the kidnapping and murder of Daniel Pearl. It's hard to say that with a straight face. I remember talking about this in the Angelina Jolie episode because it's very much a showcase for her to do big A acting. Very emotional, very passionate. He plays the captain in this. He's part of the good guys who's trying to track down Daniel Pearl in the midst of a pretty significant Indian-Pakistan crisis at that moment. Like, you get a really good look at what's going on politically with these two countries in the mid-2000s.
I mean, it's an intense movie in its subject matter. I didn't enjoy this movie very much. When you say Angelina Jolie's doing big A acting and they get to showcase things,
yep,
she definitely made choices.
It's over the top.
And the movie committed to her choices. I am fully confident in that, and I respect them for that. It is a weird movie. I could never really engage with it. I didn't fully give myself over to it because it's as soon as Angelina Jolie started talking, I was just like, I don't know. I just don't really know about this one.
The scene when she finds out, it's just like...
It's bad. It's bad.
It's overwhelmingly bad, and she shifts like a psychopath to being normal again. I'm like, all right, I didn't love that.
Yeah.
The story at the center of it with Daniel Pearl is extremely sad, and it's certainly a story that needs to be told as to kind of what happened to him. But I enjoyed Irrfan Khan in it.
Yeah, it gives him an opportunity to do something else. It's one of those where, like, my kind of observation of him was, this is why you cast really good actors in small roles like this.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's like a detective. So for a character like that, there has to be some level of gravitas that character brings into the room. Like, he walks into the room and he has to kind of command everyone's respect. He does that. And him being a good actor, it makes perfect sense for me that he can kind of come in and do something small like that and make it believable. He's good. It shows a different thing for him to do. I think this is an interesting story, just told in an effective way.
Right, Darjeeling Limited plays the father. Wes Anderson movie alongside Owen Wilson and Angelica Houston, a couple former Munsons. He doesn't play a big role in this. It's largely silent role in the second half of the film. So it was pleasant to see him, but it's certainly not a film you go to for a showcase of Irrfan Khan's acting skills. But it was cool to see him in a Wes Anderson movie.
Good sign for his career.
Mm-hmm.
Getting noticed and getting recognized as somebody that can hang with that crew.
He does 5 more Bollywood films right around this time, 2007, 2008. And then he gets in the first of 2 films that won some major awards at the Oscars as the inspector in Slumdog Millionaire from 2008.
I love this movie when it first came out. In rewatching it, I was surprised how much it held up. I was kind of nervous going into it because I thought it probably didn't age very well. But Danny Boyle, he's such a unique style as a director that he's really good at making things feel frantic and panicked. And in this movie, you're like, I would not want this kid's life for $1 million. No fucking way. Like, this kid's life sucks so bad. I think I made it to like question 2 before I was like, he's got to crawl through a river of shit to get an autograph. Nope. I don't want the money. I don't want the life.
Mom just got murdered for being a Muslim 5 seconds ago. Yeah, I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
I just love the premise of how do you know the answers to the questions? Well, let me show you my trauma to show you how I learned the answers to all these questions.
It is like such a simple yet effective kind of plot device. This kid doesn't even know like the country's like national anthem, but he knows these obscure questions because of how bad his life is, where you're like, yeah, if that happened to me, I would probably know the answer to that question too, because I would never forget that day because that's the worst thing I've ever heard. His destiny was to win that money. I don't know. It's cool. It's a very cool way of telling that story.
I think it just speaks to like unique IP concepts executed very well, are critically and generally received very well by audiences as well. And it's just like people are always starved for these like fresh, unique concepts. That's not just another superhero movie. And Slumdog Millionaire was an excellent example of that. I feel like every year or two we get, like a Parasite or something like that, where it's just like shockingly unique and brilliantly executed. And at the time, this was that.
Was it the first Bollywood film to get this much love by the Academy, like ever? I just think of like how much of a cultural phenomenon Slumdog Millionaire was for people to be introduced to Indian culture.
I love this movie. I think it wholesale holds up. Like everything about it is great.
I think the actors are very good too. Anil Kapoor is good. Frida Pinto is good in her role. Dev Patel, this is like his launching pad.
Dev Patel.
And Irrfan Khan is just a steady presence. You see a little menacing from him at the start, but he's just really the plot device to learn more about his story the rest of the way.
He's almost audience surrogate.
Yeah.
100%.
He lets you know when you could be like, I would know those answers too. Like he's telling the truth.
If it were just a bunch of Forrest Gump moments, you'd just be like, come on, this can't fit together that cleanly.
In the film is a love story. And I think that's where the film succeeds in that his purpose for being on the show is selfless because he's just hoping she's listening. It's a much better version of Joe Dirt talking to Dennis Miller to get Brandy's attention. I know those would be a stretch of a comparison.
Did you say better or parallel?
I said a much better version of Joe Dirt trying to get a hold of Brandy. But so I think it doesn't fail its theme in that sense. By the end, I don't really care about the money. I care because I've been trying to save this girl since we were 8 years old.
At the end, I fell for it again. I was pissed that they were just guessing at the third Musketeer. That whole time you guys would say that Musketeer line, you never figured out who the third one is?
We just got done covering Oliver Platt. We were prepped for this. We were ready for this moment.
You got beaten with books, and you guys became the three Musketeers, and you never figured out the third one. When they were guessing, I was like, that's just bad friendship. You guys need to share that third one. That third one's important.
So the first of a couple movies that was adored at the Oscars. Move away from the trauma to the positive side with Billy the Barber from 2009, where he plays the childhood friend of a character played by Shah Rukh Khan, who is a very famous Bollywood actor. I know, Rodmaker, you saw this. What was your take on it?
I thought it was awesome. It was really slow from a pacing standpoint. Billu is Irrfan Khan. He's this humble, poor man, and a huge Bollywood star comes to film a movie in their small village, and everyone's clamoring to like see the movie, meet him and everything. And supposedly he has a relationship with them, and people are like clamoring to get him to introduce them. And ultimately it's a movie about friendship. And without spoiling too much, it's like, yes, there is a friendship there and there's a reason that they're connected, but climactic scene at the very end is really tugs at the heartstrings, and it's lovely.
It made me cry.
Yeah, me too. It was good, man. Everybody's had a friendship like that where there was a reason that it was strained, regardless of how justified it was, But it's really well done, and I think Irrfan Khan plays such a great role here in just feeling kind of embarrassed and ashamed in some capacity. It was excellent. It's on Netflix, streaming, very easy. Probably about that 2.5 hour mark, like we were saying. So like it's a bit of a commitment, little slow pace, but like it's worth it.
You feel really bad for Irrfan the whole time because he realizes he told his wife at one point, like, I used to have a relationship with this guy. And then the wife tells the kids go to school, tell everybody. Like everybody wants a piece of this guy coming to town. And no one's really quite sure why he's deciding to film in this tiny little town. And at the end, you realize once everybody's like basically taken everything away from Irrfan Khan, removed his business, it seems like he's been lying to everybody. Then Shah Rukh Khan basically is like, all these years ago when I didn't have a penny to my name, my friend, blah, 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 that I lost connection with gave me the last dollar he had to get my start and to leave my bad situation. And I chose to come here because I had heard he was here. And so people all realize they're wrong at that moment in time about the situation. The dude's just incredibly humble and is the most selfless person ever. And you're like, God damn it, you're making me cry, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. And it's like he felt like he missed his chance because his friend ascended to fame so soon, and it would seem like self-serving to reach out to him at that point. He's like, no, I just missed you. I missed my friend. And it's like that really tugs at the heartstrings. Everybody's lost a friendship over time for one reason or another like that. It's sad, but it's sweet, Check
it out. Netflix. It's free. In Treatment with the Burnaholics, Gabe Byrne. He did 7 episodes of that show with Gabe playing Sunil in 2010. Burnaholics rejoice. 13 Bollywood films. I mean, even though he's crossed over into Hollywood films at this point, he's still doing a lot of Bollywood stuff. He's established his name at this point. He's getting asked to do a lot of work. Some he's taken, some he's turning down. And then he plays Rajit in The Amazing Spider-Man in 2012. The Andrew Garfield version of The Amazing Spider-Man. He's a dick in Amazing Spider-Man.
Can I throw a one-off plug for New York in 2009 as well?
Yeah, please do.
He's basically an FBI inspector, like a post 9/11, but it focuses on like the unfounded arrest of 1,200 Middle Eastern people the FBI had like no reason to arrest. Also like a Netflix one, just like easy though, and it focuses on he is the FBI inspector, 3 friends who were all in New York and affected that time, and then much later, and just kind of wrestles with that concept of like people being arrested, mistreated in like a Guantanamo Bay type of situation, and then like what that does to the psyche of someone long term. It's very similar to like some of those other roles of him kind of being this like FBI inspector.
Yeah.
And trying to relate with folks. But I think it handles a sensitive material in kind of like a traditional, like Americanized Hollywood done up type of movie with plenty of action, but at its core, actually, I think hits on a real issue that we're seeing today as well. I watched it on a plane recently, and it was just like, yeah, that's like ringing eerily true 15 years later.
I was going to ask you, it sounds like it was filmed like 2 days ago.
Right. Exactly.
All right, back to him being a dickhead in Amazing Spider-Man.
He's the kind of like villain that has to die for there to be some level of stakes. You know, he's like a disposable villain. I mean, it's fine, I guess. I don't know. It's not
serviceable.
I've seen this movie a bunch of times, and I didn't really remember that he was the guy that was in it. I liked the movie. I think The Amazing Spider-Man is an interesting movie, and it does some really interesting things. I think his performance in it is rather bland.
I think he did exactly.
Yeah,
fully crossed over into Hollywood films and doing Spider-Man movies. Like,
yeah,
cool.
It's, they need batting practice, and he's out there hitting doubles all day. He's doing great.
There's a handful of Bollywood actors who are doing American films, and he's getting major roles in huge blockbuster films. Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
In 2012 is also when he changed officially the spelling of his name from Irrfan with 1 R to Irrfan with 2 R's, and also dropped the Khan to just be known as Irrfan. And he said he dropped the Khan because he wanted to let his work speak for itself, because so many famous actors and performers in Indian culture have Khan as their last name. And then kick it, The Life of Pi. He plays the adult version of Pi, 2012, another big Oscars adored film that year. I'd never seen it before. This is my first time watching Life of Pi.
Damn, I thought I was going to be the only one.
Ang Lee and I had this like love-hate relationship, man, where like some of his movies, I'm like, is that one of the most beautiful things I've ever watched in my entire life? And other times it loses me instantly. And I was afraid Life of Pi was going to be that when I rewatched it. But it is everything I want from Ang Lee. It is just a nice little magical story. It was beautiful.
Which version of the story do you like best?
That threw me. Oh my God, I'm still scarred from that.
Yeah, dude, the first time I heard that, I was like, whoa, I didn't know that. Interesting. I was like, I got totally duped.
I love this movie. I avoided it like the plague for years and years and years because I thought it was going to be just an absolute snooze fest. It just didn't look like anything I was ever going to really get into. And within minutes, I was like hooked. He's got a lot to do with that because he's kind of who you open with.
He's great.
And he's just telling a story, having a guy that really knows what he's doing, like just understands how to do this thing, which I don't think that's something that every good actor can do. Like, he has a charisma to him.
Mm-hmm.
He could have just told the story to camera and I would have been fine. Like, I would have had a great time with this movie if it was just him telling the story.
He has such a good control over his cadence and his pace.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think this movie hits so well, because of his line delivery at the end of the film. Like you talked about, the one that keeps sitting with you of like, which version of the story do you prefer? Like, that's all about his delivery. The writing's great, don't get me wrong, but a substandard actor will fuck that up quick.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the beauty of exploring an actor like Irrfan Khan and introducing ourselves a little bit more to Bollywood. It's like, there's a billion people that live in India, and they have an entire film industry that doesn't touch anything in the Western world. And
Yeah.
thank God the Oscars has like a best international film every year, but it's like there's some really, really great stuff that comes from not anything near Hollywood, and it's usually the ones that are completely different from the format and the storytelling devices used. There's some really, really beautiful art that's out there.
The great thing about something like Life of Pi is, in a perfect world, it's a gateway.
Yeah.
Is you start asking questions about these actors and these stories and their backgrounds, or like Slumdog, this country and this trauma that they're going through. And it's a gateway into more movies, more stories, in a whole different world. And I think for a lot of people, it is that. There's been plenty of movies I watched where I ended up watching a movie or a movie from another country that I never would have watched had it not been for a very generic version of some movie that led me to it.
For the two of us that hadn't seen it before, 14 years later, I think it still stands up pretty well.
Yeah.
Beautiful film with great acting performances.
It looks so good.
Brilliant CGI from the time, too.
The tiger looks pretty good. Yeah, CGI is pretty solid.
Yeah.
Like, you can very clearly tell the only time the tiger's real is when it jumps off the boat into the water, but you give it that space.
You're going to cry about that CGI tiger at the end, all right? You're going to cry about it. So just enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride, baby.
In 2025, I saw plenty of movies with CGI that looked just as bad, if not worse.
Yeah.
Accurate. We're going from one very good Irrfan Khan performance to another. The Lunchbox plays Saja and executive produces it, 2013. I'm going to go on a limb and say this is my favorite Irrfan Khan performance.
I will second that motion as well.
It was an awesome movie. If you haven't seen The Lunchbox, please watch it. It's well worth your time.
Just a beautiful story that could get really repetitive fast, but never does.
No.
It's a movie where they're just reading off notes that they get from each other, but it tells a great story.
You meet his like future replacement at work, and I'm like, I'm just going to be like a one-note character that's just like annoying him, and that's not at all what happens. And you're like, oh, whoa, this is getting deeper than I expected. It's like romantic without being intimate. It's like a slice of life kind of movie. I was thoroughly impressed.
So heartbreaking when he says, I'm an orphan and I have nobody else to represent at my wedding on my side. Can you? Like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
He hits him with that line where he's like, well, my mother always said, you get on the wrong train, you could get to the right station. And he's like, that's a good saying. He's like, wait, I thought you were an orphan. He's like, I was. People like that line more when I say my mother always said. I was like, that's pretty funny.
I'm such a sucker for a movie that like is a generally simple plot and like a couple of characters. And I think this movie just like checks all of those boxes. Yeah, it's just lovely. Irrfan Khan is incredible. Starts off this like kind of curmudgeon, and then like you go along further and you're like, oh no, there's a reason.
He's the perfect actor for this type of film because every series of notes requires a moment of reflection of what does that mean for my identity and who I am. And so many parts of the movie is just him standing on his porch, smoking a cigarette, looking at the kids nearby and wondering, like, what would it be like for me to have a family again, or to explore life different than what I currently have. And again, it's no word spoken. It's just him contemplating and you falling along with him in that reflection. And that's what makes the movie so beautiful, I think.
So much of this movie is him thinking. And the beauty of that is when you have strong characters and strong actors, you then as a viewer start to wonder what he's thinking about. And because cinema is an art where there's a wide interpretation a lot of times in what's going on, you can just, with him, figure out what he's thinking. What would he be thinking in this moment? What would I be thinking in this moment? And it adds so much depth to a movie that already has so much depth into it that it's amazing. And he's the perfect actor for it because, again, you need to be able to act without saying anything. I love this movie. I think I loved this movie 4 or 5 minutes into the movie. I was just like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I'll just watch this 20 times and that'll be my prep. And this is one of my favorite movies I've ever watched in prep for this podcast. Like, I adore this movie.
When we were prepping, I was like, you guys have to watch The Lunchbox. It's delightful.
I think this was the first thing I watched.
I suggested it to people after I watched it. I was like, dude, you got to see this movie.
I looked it up on Amazon to buy it.
Shit, let's go.
I will own this movie soon.
Hell yeah.
I think it's amazing. A big part of it is obviously the acting is on point, really extraordinary, but the patience and the storytelling. It feels like a movie from another time. It almost feels like I'm reading a book because there's just so much depth. And when you add 30 minutes to a runtime of a movie, and then the person who's making the movie knows what to do with it, you can have gold. Because what this movie is able to convey is just so rich that a character that would normally be written off, this one-note character that, James, you were referencing, every movie we've ever seen without subtitles, that character is one note. And he may say something that was meant to be profound at the end, but it's a one-note character. But this movie is like, well, what is his life like too? Let's explore that. You're like halfway through this movie, you're like, I fucking love this guy. What is he going to do the rest of his life?
Yeah.
With his scooter.
I like that the movie is somewhat vague at the end. I like the choices that they make all throughout the movie. It's not physically intimate, but man, it's palpable though. I wanted them to get together bad. When they was like, oh, it's time to meet, I was like, it's time to meet. Like, y'all two need to meet.
Let's go.
I was putting myself in his shoes and I was like, dude, she's a dime. And I'm like, you are so lucky that the woman that you're writing to is a 10.
Mm-hmm.
She's a babe. This could have gone way different.
Yeah. I think he did what I feel like I would do. He saw her and was like, nah, this ain't going to work.
She's out of my league, bro. She's half my age.
Yeah, she gonna see me and be like, nah.
Something to be said for letting the actors say things without speaking lines. And Irrfan Khan did a really great job of that. Really, everybody in this movie did. And well, you felt more of those emotions and it was more relatable, whereas like that's just so uncommon in American cinema.
Where are the explosions? We need explosions.
Right.
Movies are meant to make you feel something. And there's a cheap way to do it, and there's a more complicated way to do it, especially with romance. You can generate a pretty decent amount of romantic tension with two attractive people, just putting them in a room together. And you can get to whatever that payoff would be relatively quickly. Or you can do the thing that's harder to do, more tricky to do, and it nets a bigger result, which is, let me tell you about these people and put something of substance behind the feeling. Because then it hits you for real and it stays with you. Every movie has the same tension. And The Lunchbox is arguably one of the best versions I've ever seen of this romantic tension being drawn out in a very smart way. And it pays off perfectly.
I love it.
No notes.
Other than one last thing we didn't talk about is me just going around, Auntie! That's just me for the full week, just yelling for Auntie. Auntie's not here.
I love that this Lunchbox service, we're told that it never fails.
Yeah.
And this is my introduction to this Lunchbox service, which, by the way, I think is kind of incredible.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
And I just stop and go, but the premise of the movie is that this is failing.
It's an all-time fuck-up.
I also love that the movie addresses it. She's like, hey, there was a mix-up. And he's like, no, there wasn't.
We don't fuck up.
It's like there's literally never a mix-up. You can look like it's essentially being like, we beg you to Google us. Like, it's truly a thing.
We don't make mistakes.
If you like Indian food, this is food porn for you, my friend. So enjoy that too.
I've never had Indian food, but I was looking around like, what's in Lakeland? What they got around here? I'm not an adventurous eater.
Oh, okay. Disclaimer.
We gotta get some Indian food, man.
He's like, I'm not here to get shit on. I don't live the curry life. What do you want from me?
He's like, nope. He's like, I've been dealing with it. I've been having this argument.
I'm DoorDashing you right now.
I know what I'm getting you for Christmas next year.
I stopped the movie. I was like, all right, so the whole premise is based off of this food delivery. And I Googled it, and I was the person who had no idea this existed. I was like, this is a real thing that happens over there.
Insane. Wow.
Seems like a great idea.
Yeah, I would love to partake.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. Let's get the largest critic gap, which is Rodmaker and 2013's Saheb Biwi Hour or Gangster Returns. He plays Raja.
The translation for this is The Master, the Wife, and the Gangster Returns. This is a series of 3. This is the second of which. I desperately tried to watch the first one and could not for the life of me find it anywhere. So fortunately, you can kind of catch up with it just by jumping in. It's essentially a political romance thriller action movie. It's super complicated. There's kind of 3 key characters. There's Aditya Pratap Singh, which played by Jimmy Shergill, who won essentially what I think is the equivalent of the Academy Award for Best Actor for this one, believe it or not. There's Madhavi Devi, and then there's Inderjeet Singh, which is Irrfan Khan. So the master would be the first, the wife is the second, and our gangster is Irrfan Khan. So Aditya Pratap Singh is royalty. He's trying to consolidate power over politicians in the area. His wife, Madhavi, is now a local politician with little knowledge of the political system. And she's also known as like a seductress with a drinking problem, which I think is plot point from the first one. I had to do a little bit of research on kind of like Indian politics, but there's similar to like England, there's like this kind of combination of royalty, but then there are also like local politicians, senators, congressional representative equivalents, that kind of thing. And so it helps a little bit to kind of understand the political drama there. And then lastly, Irrfan Khan's character is the gangster. He's kind of playing a tough guy, and he's looking to avenge his family's honor, which was wiped out and taken by Aditya, who is the royalty/king. Inderjeet is in love with a woman named Ranjana, who's the daughter of I think it was a politician from the movie, someone of somewhat significant stature. And then Aditya, the royalty, Pratap, falls in love with Ranjana and demands/threatens her father that she become his wife, either by choice or by kidnapping, essentially. So most of this movie, without getting into too many of the details, because it's really complex, it's tough to watch. This is one that if you really want to like glean everything from it, you probably need to watch it twice. But most of this movie is about Inderjeet trying to avenge his family and then also prevent this like forced marriage of Ranjana to Aditya Pratap. So I think the ambition was huge, like Godfather level ambition. And so I think like that's where we get this large critic gap of like, do you think they achieved it or not? To be honest with you, it's hard to like really give what I think is a fair take on this without having seen the first and probably watching this one a couple of times to like really understand everything. I probably lean on the lower side of the critics just from like a one good watch with it and then not being able to see the first one, but kind of doing the research and trying to understand what are the key plot points we're looking for here.
So you're more on the audience at 43 than critics at 83 on this one?
I'm like probably a little higher in the audience because there's a lot of good elements to it. There's a lot of really great acting in it. There's some good scenes. It just seems like they were trying to do a whole lot. It's probably a little higher than that, but I would still kind of lean on probably the lower side. I mean, we've seen in some of his movies of him kind of like playing the villain, kind of the powerful guy. This one, he's like a little more like James Bond about it. He just does such a great job with it. It was a really great opportunity where we got to see him play kind of the tough guy, the gangster, the avenge my family's honor and try to get the girl, but also like get caught up in some of the politics and the ways of love in ways that the perfect altruistic hero doesn't.
Sounds like he was good in his role, which is what I want to hear. To pony up to that from the same year, did any of you guys get a chance to see Pan Singh Tomar? I didn't. It seemed like it was really hard to find, but every list I found of like best Irrfan Khan roles, because normally I don't look that stuff up, Case, because I don't want to take away any lists you might drag up for top performances. But when you're talking about Bollywood actor like that, I'm like, I need some help. Like, help me point out what I really need to see. This movie kept showing up, but I couldn't find it anywhere. He plays an Indian athlete and 7-time national steeplechase champion who becomes one of the most feared criminals in Chambal Valley after his retirement. So another like heel turn into gangster criminal enterprise. So he seems like he's played that a lot. This is kind of the point I'm trying to make.
I think a lot of his strong roles come with that like silent character of power and gravitas.
Yeah.
It's like somewhat intimidating, or can be if he chooses to make it that way.
I mean, that's a good transition to the next film we have, our show notes, which is Piku from 2015, where he plays Rana, which his character pops off a few times because you would too if you drove somebody 40 to 45 hours. That man who is constipated and angry at the world would cause anybody to pop off, but very restrained role and fun movie.
Love this movie. Look to buy this one too. Little bit more inaccessible. It was $150.
Whoa.
To buy the Blu-ray for this.
Oh, sort of GoFundMe.
I showed some restraint. I only bought one copy. No, I'm joking. When I branch into different genres or different cultures or different types of movies, it's nice to have something familiar. And a lot of this movie was familiar for me to kind of give myself over to it completely. I think it's funny. I think he's funny. which is something that I've seen in a couple of movies that he's done.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of effortlessly funny. Like, he doesn't have to do a ton to be funny. He just can kind of hit the notes and do the things, and it works. He brings a decent amount of humor to this, but also, you know, a lot of depth. It's a movie that is longer than it would ever be in America. I think the movie's better for it being as long as it is. The emotional payoff works.
That line he delivers to him at the end, when he comes out thinking he's going to get an apology, and he's just like, hey, you're a civil engineer, fix the water pump.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so good.
Shut up, I'll just fix it. He says, can I give you a bit of advice? He basically told him to stop being a baby. And so now every time I poop, I call it a motion, just so you guys know.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a really good motion today. And I'm taking that away. Auntie, and I'm having a really good motion. The man dies, and he takes the best poop of his life the day before he dies.
Uh-huh.
I gotta say, like, just kind of thumbing through some of the screenshots of this one and like thinking of the movie I reviewed, it's like Irrfan Khan is like a good-looking guy, but like, man, he's got some serious swag in like some of this wardrobe and like some of these scenes that he's in that just like you don't typically associate with Bollywood.
Dude, whoever made fun of him growing up, immediately I was like, one, that's a mean thing to say to someone. You make him self-conscious. Two, they're wrong though. Like, it's like you're clearly handsome. Yes,
He's the handsome guy.
He's quiet, mysterious, and confident, and that's attractive to a lot of people. And that's what the characters he plays in a lot of his films.
You definitely see it in some of the roles, but like the more that I look at it, the more that it's kind of a theme with him.
He feels like a movie star.
Yeah.
It made sense watching the Bollywood stuff, as I was like, oh, okay, this is where I can see it in practice.
Yep.
But it feels like that. Like he should be the lead of everything he's doing.
And keep in mind, he was offered a role in Interstellar, or this one was The Martian, and he chose to do Piku over The Martian. And then he was offered a role in Interstellar, and he chose The Lunchbox over Interstellar.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting cross-section to think about, like how many more American audiences would recognize him, but we would miss out on these really interesting Bollywood films if he had made those choices.
The better move for us was that he did those other movies. Because I'm trying to think who he would have been in either of those movies.
He was supposed to play Matt Damon's role in Interstellar.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay.
And then he was going to play Chiwetel Ejiofor's role in The Martian. He's essentially going to run NASA.
No, I don't like that one.
I think you made the right choice. I'm glad we have the Lunchbox.
Yeah.
I get why they would cast him in that, but
The Interstellar role is meatier, but also I feel like that works better for the movie that it's Matt Damon and not someone that I wouldn't have known who it was at the time.
go check out Piku. Back to what we were talking about. Jurassic World plays Masrani alongside Chris Pratt in 2015.
Any of you gents rewatch this masterpiece?
He's a pilot, baby.
Mind your tone. I like this movie.
That's one of my favorite movie-going experiences, for sure. He dies in an incredible Jurassic Park death. He's chasing via helicopter the Indominus Rex, which is like a T-Rex with a battering ram head, and he frees the pterodactyls, and the pterodactyls start kamikazing into his helicopter, and that's how he dies. It's an incredible death.
Not the best death in that movie, though.
Not the woman getting picked up and fed to the...
That's the best one.
Yeah, I like the character of this movie. He's like very optimistic, naively.
I think that this movie is better the more that I know about Irrfan Khan as an actor. Now, I will say I like this movie, and this is one of those where you can tell me all the things that are bad about it, and I may agree with you. And then I will end the conversation by saying, yeah, but that movie's awesome. His character has bothered me.
He like treats the velociraptors like they're dogs. You know what you're signing up for. Like, you know what you're signing up for here.
And it all makes sense if you don't think about it. Irrfan Khan's character has bothered me ever since I watched this movie the first time, and I will not say how many times I've watched this movie. I've never understood this character because the way that it is depicted is he's the money behind Jurassic World.
Yep.
But he's like this eccentric billionaire, way over the top, flies helicopters poorly, doesn't really care about anything, but kind of cares about stuff. It's just like this over-the-top take of this eccentric billionaire type. Now, the reason why I say this movie is better is it didn't seem like it fit. My new theory is that Irrfan Khan was making fun of movies and these people because his take is the only humorous thing in this movie.
It's hilarious.
Want me to be like an eccentric billionaire? Okay, I'll do that. And he makes him a clown.
Yeah, for sure.
100%. He's so naive.
It's so funny. Everything about him is funny. Everything he does is funny to me. And I love it. It sounds stupid to say that a performance like this matters because it's kind of a throwaway performance in a movie that, you know, people will remember, but probably for the wrong reasons. But legitimately, I know who this guy is because of this movie. I've never forgotten this character. He's familiar to me because of this movie. And he made that role matter, as dumb as it was.
When he flies the helicopter, you're just like, come on, dude. Like, the monsters are out, bro. Like, come on.
Where they've made it very clear they understand what happened before with these experiments.
Yeah. They make jokes about it.
He's still like, you know what? We might be able to figure this out and how to like coexist peacefully. Like
capitalism our way through this together.
I honestly think he heard the pitch for this movie. Like, they pitched it to him dead serious. No, this guy's really trying to do it again. And he was just like, no, this is a joke. And he just played it as if it was a joke. But he's the only one that thought that. And I think it was perfect. This movie also ages with time because now we have more access to billionaires and what they're really like.
Yeah.
This is actually how they are. Yeah, we know.
I just love it as a change of pace of all the other roles he's done, where he's like, I'm going to join the Jurassic world and I'm going to be a billionaire who flies helicopters.
I love it.
It's so dumb.
It's great.
I love it. All right. Inferno, which is our lowest critic score, where he plays Harry. We haven't really dug into anything Dan Brown in this podcast. I think it's our first Dan Brown film. So, Aubrey, 2016, you got it, baby.
Don't worry. We won't be digging into anything Dan Brown this time either. In an effort to save time, I will make this quick. This is what I think is the third movie of a trilogy of movies.
Yes.
A character named Robert Langdon, and he must stop a madman from unleashing a virus that could kill half the population. So the madman is, you guys will never guess, Ben Foster.
no shot. Great cast.
Apparently he's running this cult where they need to pull a Thanos.
Yeah.
They need to kill a bunch of people because the world is overpopulated and less population will make the world better and reverse all of its problems. This is a conspiracy thriller. I don't think I'm the right person to talk about this movie because there's an audience for this movie. And those people may listen to this one time. And if they do, they're going to be mad at me because I didn't give this the just due that it deserves. So here's what I'll say. I don't like these type of movies at all. If it counts as a genre, this genre is the one I don't like. Like, I don't like National Treasure. I don't like any of these things. If you have me solving riddles with American history, and I am a U.S. history teacher, if you have me solving riddles with museums and history, I am not interested.
Finding truth in museums is getting harder and harder, so it is kind of something.
It's true.
The subject matter is interesting, but I feel like it's being exploited to an end that I do not find interesting. It's not being exploited in a way to analyze or, dissect or, look into. It's being exploited as a mystery. So now I've got to use all of these things and go all these places to solve a mystery. This movie fails in its mystery. It also doesn't work in the sense of like, you never know who's good or bad. And I don't like that because it's not done in a clever way, in an obvious misdirect way. It also ends where this one bag of virus needs to be destroyed with a bomb. And that's what's going to kill half the population. And it's just like, all right.
Connected to a pillar.
Yeah.
In the water.
And it's just like Tom Hanks is running around all of Europe. And like, I'm just supposed to believe that Tom Hanks is running around all of Europe, invading. I'm supposed to believe that Tom Hanks is running away from Omar Sy.
The critics in the audiences hate this movie. These aren't hot takes.
Like a 42 Metascore, which is not good, but it's not bad.
23 on Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm a huge Felicity Jones fan, so this will not stain her resume because I will forget about this movie immediately. But for the fans of this franchise, I think, because Tom Hanks wakes up in the hospital, which I guess is a mystery. I don't know. This movie's not good. don't watch it. Unless you like all of the movies, in which case you should watch it, and I'm glad you found your thing.
I liked his role, Irrfan Khan. Otherwise, I didn't like the movie.
Oh, yeah. I like the idea of what he does.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a reverse fixer.
Mm-hmm.
He like goes around like causing issues.
Yep.
And I like that. I'm interested in that. And he's believable as this guy who runs this like massive organization. Like he gives, again, it's a lot of gravitas. It's a lot of like, I just kind of own this shit. And he's like, we just made up a thing. And I do that. And I'm great at it, obviously. Like when he kills Omar Sy, he looks around, he's just like, it's not my best work. And I immediately go, well, what else has he done? And like, it's just like one simple line delivery. And I now want to watch a spinoff of a movie that I hate. He's good. Unfortunately for people that may watch this movie, a majority of his performance is in the second half of the movie. You've got to sit through the first half.
It doesn't sound like you liked it.
9 out of 10 stars. It was amazing.
It's a money grab.
Case, how much money did this movie make?
$220 million.
Okay, so he got a decent payday. Shout out to Irrfan on this one.
Oh, yeah.
Pay for your flight, head to Italy.
What was it, 1995 when he did 500 episodes of television?
Yeah.
He made so much more money in 2016.
Just one flight to Italy. He got way more money.
Yeah.
Jurassic World money still burning a hole in his pocket from 2015.
Oh, yeah.
To your point, like at this point, he's crossed into Hollywood and he hustled his ass off in the 90s. He's like, you want me to go be in your blockbuster picture? I'll do 7 scenes. Yeah. How much you paying me? Yeah, I'll do it.
Ultimately, it seems like all that work paid off, though, because he shows up in these like very minuscule roles that are always written off and forgotten about by most American actors, and he makes them something that's memorable.
Mm-hmm. So, ringing endorsement from Aubrey McKay to go see The Inferno and enjoy your experience. That's what I heard.
Which of these do you think was his biggest payday?
Jurassic World.
Jurassic World has to be.
Because I'm trying to think. He stacked a couple of like major hits, right? And had like a significant role there. I mean, this is after Life of Pi, Amazing Spider-Man.
Jurassic World.
I mean, he's coming into IP that has already been in existence, so those come with good paydays usually.
The budget on Jurassic World was insane.
Yeah, because they were reviving a hugely successful franchise.
He got incredible praise from Tom Hanks.
Really?
A couple good quotes. First, Hanks said, he's like, I thought I was the coolest guy in the room until Irrfan Khan walked in. And he goes, and then I went up to him and I said, I'm going to steal from you everything I possibly can.
That's an incredible statement.
It was awesome. It was like, could not have been more blown away by Irrfan Khan, Tom Hanks.
Wow. That's a huge endorsement from one of our biggest movie stars of this generation.
Also supports everything that we've been saying.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, King.
If you guys think about it, we're basically the Tom Hanks of podcasting.
That's what I always said.
Don't you know? We'll bump up your IMDb meter score too. Just holler at us. All right, so rounding it out, 2017, he's in Hindi medium. He plays Raj. I've read that this was a sleeper hit in India and China, and I guess it surpassed the box office for the Lunchbox. Again, it was hard to find. Seemed to be a movie people liked. Then you had Kareeb's single, plays Yogi. 2017. I know, Aubrey, you were asking questions about it. I saw it a couple years ago. I remember liking it. I didn't rewatch it. I remember him in sunglasses a bunch. It's kind of like a goofy character, but that's about it.
It's a comedy again. He is funny again, but it's different. Very different than Piku. It's very different than The Lunchbox or any of the other, comedy or comedy adjacent things I'd seen him in. It's a very different character. It's very eccentric. And he is the driving force of a lot of the humor. I did not like this movie, though. I think a large portion of that is there was something odd about it. And I want to be sensitive to the fact that it's difficult to get these movies in different scenarios. And it seems like this movie was just ADR'd at the end completely. Because I asked if there was something wrong with the sound. I ended up renting this movie because I watched it on some highly credible and totally above board websites. And the sound was off, it felt like. So I rented it because I was like, oh, okay, that's what it is. I just am watching this on sketchy websites, obviously. And the sound was off on that one, too. And it wasn't off like the lips didn't match what was being said. It was just off. Like it didn't sound like the characters were saying the thing they were saying. So I think it was ADR, and I just couldn't get past that. Yeah, so I just ended up not finishing it, especially once I saw the gist of what he was doing. It was enough for me to be like, he's doing a different style of comedy. He's carrying the comedy. He's playing the main love interest again, and he's killing all aspects of these things. It's just another tally mark for why you're explaining to someone why this guy's so good.
He has a very authentic comedic sense. Because even in a movie, we won't talk about it, but I think it's like Karwan.
Yes.
He's this quirky comedic character, and he's just a ton of fun. It's just very authentic.
I forgot about this movie, Case. Karwan's awesome.
It's a very fun watch.
That's when I would definitely recommend that. When I was talking about other comedies, this is a movie I was referencing because he is the kind of driving force of the humor in Karwan also.
Yep.
It's different. He's weird and kind of eccentric, but in a completely different way as he is in the other movie that I'm not going to try to say because I'm going to say it terribly. There's a versatility in a broad sense of an actor can do a lot of different tones, a lot of different styles. But there's also a versatility in the sense of I can do multiple variations of a similar style and bring something different to it each time. Oh, yeah. Karwan is a perfect example of that.
Very funny. Very heartwarming, too.
Yes, very effective in that sense. Kyle, you should watch that. I think you'll like it.
Well, a film that isn't as funny, but this is the one I watched last night as well. Aubrey Puzzle plays Robert. Story about a woman who is very restless in her marriage and figures out she's really fucking good at doing puzzles. And in that connects with Irrfan Khan, who is trying to compete in a master's puzzle competition and essentially becomes her ability to break out of her monotonous relationship and start flirting with what she could be and what she actually enjoys other than just being a mom who's taken for granted and slow pace for sure.
I absolutely love this movie. You know that. You didn't even have to ask what my take is. I absolutely love this movie.
Yeah, I figured.
Love it. I will watch this movie dozens of times across my lifetime. I think this movie's amazing. It's another movie about middle-aged angst, which used to be significantly more interesting than it is now because I'm starting to relate to some of the angst that these characters are going through as opposed to going, man, wouldn't it suck to get there? It's an incredible movie from the sense of how it goes about exploring this woman learning about herself and then what it does after that. Because to do the really hacky movie critic thing, it kind of knocks all the pieces of her life apart, but doesn't put any of them back together. And I find that to be extraordinarily beautiful. I rewound and watched the final moments of this movie again when she's talking to her son at the cabin to when she gets on the train.
Heading to Montreal.
It's a remarkable feat of acting, but also just really beautiful filmmaking. And, a group of people that are putting together a film that understand what this story is and what it should be. I think Irrfan Khan is incredible.
Everything he's good at, he's given the ability to do those things in this movie.
What I saw from him in this is restraint. Because this character that he plays is a common character in what is ostensibly a sports movie.
Puzzles.
But the format is not too dissimilar from a sports movie.
No. Savant figures out their talents and skills and gets brought in by a mentor. Yeah.
And the mentor is already great or has some success at some point in time, but is mysterious in the sense of why are they not still great or what do they have going on? There's a bit of eccentricity to him, at least through her eyes. There's a bit of eccentricity to him because he's so different than anything she's ever experienced. And you've seen that character become a caricature very easily. He can blow up those elements and make them really big, or he can allow them to sit where they are and kind of pull it all back into himself. And that's what he does. And I think it's a really smart choice because so much of this movie is done in the silences and in between conversations that he becomes a more effective and more interesting tool, because essentially that's what he is in this story. He's a tool for our main character to get self-discovery because he isn't a basic caricature that we all know and can easily identify.
He's a lazy inventor, right?
Yeah.
My wife and I watched this one last night as well, and it was a little bit of a unique role of him where he was more like casual, laid back. It wasn't like imposing his presence on the scene or on the film. Weed smoking neighbor kind of vibe was what we were getting from it.
My only criticism was Christina and I were watching it last night as well, so this movie was getting some rental play, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
When he's pulling the glass out of her foot, and I was like, could you hit the metaphor any fucking harder on the head right now? Good Lord! But that shot towards the end of the movie where she's in the lake up to her knees with the boots on was such an interesting shot choice. The water's still.
They were probably rolling on that for like 10 minutes, just trying to wait for it to do.
100%.
Where all the budget went.
Yeah, from a filmmaking perspective. Puzzle. It's not free, but you can rent it. Go scope it out.
You should.
All this positive talk about him. Unfortunately, in 2018, he was diagnosed with a neuroendocrine tumor. And my understanding, he traveled to the UK in 2019, was getting treatments for it. But unfortunately, he passed away in 2020. He had gone to a new hospital to get a new type of treatment and died a day later. And his mother, who had just turned 93, passed away 4 days prior to his passing, which has got to be rough when you're dealing with a colon infection from your neuroendocrine tumor. So it sounds like he came out on Twitter about it in 2018 originally. Clearly, cancer is a fucking asshole. It took him a talent and what seems like a really good human really early.
It's so sad. 53 years old is just way too young for anybody to be passing away.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We've said this about countless other actors that have been on here, but like, think of what he had to give still to, not just his personal life, but to the theater world and film lovers, and how many great things we'll tragically never see.
Yeah, it's sad.
He would have done incredible work.
That kind of role is like quiet spoken gravitas as you age. It's like fine wine. Like, oh my gosh, it's so sad.
No matter what, it's sad. It just hits me so hard now because I am a genuine fan of him. And the thing he's shown, particularly in American films, is he does these little shitty roles so good. And he would have had 100 of them over the next several years because he's so good at them. And he elevates movies and he makes them so much better. And that's a thing that would have popped up in big movies over and over again. There was so much good work that he still had to give. It's the bittersweet kind of interaction I had with the prep for this. It was exciting to discover a person I already kind of knew. And then it was kind of tragic to be like, oh, well, this is kind of it. I don't get to grow with the rest of his career, which is kind of sad.
As fans of the medium, it sucks.
Yeah.
Posthumously, they released Murder at Teasery Mansell 302. He played a couple characters in that. So that was where he filmed that before he passed. Puzzle was his last Hollywood film that he did. And then, fittingly, he got a Filmfare Lifetime Achievement Award, which is pretty big in the Bollywood space after his passing in 2021 for his impact on cinema. I don't know if the average moviegoer in the United States would know. They might recognize him, probably wouldn't know him by name. He made a pretty clear impact on both of those film spaces. And so rest in peace, King.
Great.
Case, we'll toss it to you. Top performances. What do you got?
Yeah, I found I guess you would call it a blog post on a Indian film website. I thought was very interesting. It appears to be kind of a service related. It's called Filming Indo, and it seems to be focused on a lot of details about the film industry in India. And they posted a in memoriam. What did they have as their top 10 films?
I think it's fitting when you talk about somebody with this much work in the Bollywood space, so we pull a list that isn't just Hollywood. So I appreciate that, Case.
Yeah.
All right, give me the one that none of us saw, but people talk about it a lot, Pan Singh Tomar.
All right, that is 1 out of the 10. It was the second one listed. I don't know if that means it's number 2. It was the second one listed. Harwan is not on the list. Should be, though.
Maqbool
is also on there. It was listed number 1.
Lunchbox.
And Lunchbox.
Gotta have Lunchbox.
Lunchbox is number 5.
The Warrior
Oddly, I didn't realize this, is not on the list, Kyle.
Shame.
Piku.
Piku is not on the list.
This list hates me.
Partition.
Partition is not on the list.
Oh, I was about to feel justified.
This list is going to humble us because there's probably a lot of Bollywood films we didn't really talk about.
I feel like we've got to have at least one big Hollywood hit on there. Let me go with Life of Pi for that one.
Life of Pi is number 3.
How about my other DNF from the episode, 7.5 Fear, More Than a Wedding?
No, not on the list.
It was so bad.
Jurassic World.
Jurassic World is not on the list.
This list hates me.
Slumdog.
Slumdog is not on the list.
What?
Maybe the role was too small.
Not fair. Okay, I'll take it.
Bill Yu, the Barber.
I support that one.
Bill Yu the Barber is not on the list.
Travesty.
One movie we did review, another one we did review, and I don't know that we talked about the other ones.
Inferno.
Nah,
Inferno, unfortunately, for Dan Brown, is not on the list.
Unfortunately for Dan.
Take it, Rodmaker. I think it's your review. I think it's Gangster Returns.
Oh, it's
Gangster Returns.
I bet it
is
is
on the list.
No.
One of the lead actors won their version of the Oscar. That's going to be on the list.
Yeah, it says it's one of the finest films by film director Tig Minshu and received international acclaim.
I'm not on board with this, but it's on my list.
All right, Case, give us the other ones, Case. What else we got?
All right, so the ones we have not guessed yet are Talwar, Madari, Hindi Medium, Almost Single, and Caravan.
I think Kareeb Single is technically Almost Single. I think it's the same film.
Caravan is Carwan.
It is?
There you go.
It was on Case. We made it.
I think it is.
It is, yes.
And then we talked about Hindi Medium briefly. So there's really only one.
Talwar.
How do you spell that?
Talwar. He plays the role of Ashwani Kumar, a CBI officer investigating a case.
Sounds like a mighty heart.
So he's back into law enforcement inspector. Okay. Yeah.
Well, what were the top 3 on that list there, Case? It was Maqbool,
Tomar, and Life of Pi.
Okay. I feel good about that. We probably would put Lunchbox at the top, but I feel that.
For sure. No question.
If you look at his specific performance versus the quality of the movie as a whole, I could see some variation there.
Yeah.
Like Partition should be on there.
Send a harshly worded email. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, man.
Let's get into the Munson Meter. What we do, we rate every actor on a scale of 0 to 100 based on a variety of factors that could include longevity, project choice, pop culture impact, acting range, awards footprint, other talents, their personal life, comedic chops, box office success, and anything else that matters to us as Munsons. I get the pleasure of going first. Like Aubrey said, I felt like the Greta Gerwig episode. I was watching a lot of the same movies over and over again, and it just wasn't the most fun. This process the last 3 weeks reminded me why I love doing this podcast, because you just get to explore a person and a performer in a medium that, you know, I've seen probably a lot more than the average American moviegoer, but even then I'm like a novice comparatively. And so it's just really cool to like dig into this world and hear you guys talk about films that you love that I've seen that I'm like, yeah, people need to see these. I got to give him credit for being perhaps the most successful and recognizable Bollywood actor to make the shift to Hollywood. That says something. And while I love that he made the shift late in his career, I worry a little bit his Hollywood role choices didn't give him the same ability to flex what he's great at, but it did give him a chance to do something different. And it was, like we said, with Jurassic World and Inferno, it's just a fun departure from the norm, but it's not his best work. But it's good for people to see him, for other audiences to see him. As I mentioned in my review, The Warrior, he's quietly expressive and rich with emotion in his roles. It's a testament to his acting abilities. With our scale, it's hard to judge him, right? Because like pop culture impact, it's challenging. If this was the Indian pop culture impact, huge. American audiences, like I said, might not know his name, but I think most would recognize him that have seen a lot of these blockbuster films from the 2010s. So it's hard to rate him there. Same with awards, right? He didn't get a bunch of American awards, but he got a Lifetime Achievement Award. He got a bunch of acting nominations for his roles in Bollywood films. So like, how do you rate that? Part of his story is the Hollywood roles he turned down, like Interstellar, Martian, Body of Lies, for projects in Bollywood that he really believed in. And The Lunchbox is a great testament to. It's the only project I know of that he was executive producer on throughout his career. And it's, I think, his best movie, his best performance. And I really admire those choices, especially when you live on the other side of the world, right? It's like, where do I best spend my time doing something for my people, my friends here, or going over and getting a big payday? And I think he balanced that well. So, I mean, pure acting skill, impact on the industry, obviously gone way too early. I'm going to give him what I think is really good. I'm going to give him an 80. I'm going to toss it to Case.
It's tough to score him because I'm just not super familiar with the spider web of the films that he's been in. Whereas when we're looking at actors I'm more familiar with, I can be like, oh, well, they're in this movie with this director, and that director also did these things. And it can help me put together a little bit more comprehensive context to what I'm watching. And so this was a culture shock, literally, in some of the films that I was watching, and I enjoyed them. You know, while I don't seek out Bollywood films, I've always enjoyed the difference, and I've always appreciated, and I think Rodmaker was talking earlier, but I mean, there's a completely parallel film industry in India that is thriving, and I've always enjoyed seeing projects come out of that machine compared to the Hollywood machine. Everything I saw him in, I liked. I thought he's a good actor. I echo the sentiment that it's really unfortunate that we're not going to get to see more work from him, because with his inherent strengths and natural acting ability, he was going to only get better as he got older and become more impressive. And with all that impressiveness, I'm going to go ahead and give him an 85.
All right, Rodmaker, our guest Munson.
So I think this one, watching Irrfan Khan's filmography was really eye-opening for me. I didn't watch nearly as much as I'd have liked to. I tried to watch a lot of things that I just couldn't access, but I think that speaks to his importance in his role in film. And I think a lot of things that we were able to see, we were probably only able to see, at least in part, because he was a part of it and he had crossed over into Hollywood, at least in a significant capacity. Things that I think about when I consider my rating, yes, it breaks a lot of the things that we normally measure for the Munson Meter. But I think the fact that we watched a bunch of Bollywood movies that we never otherwise would have watched is important. I think especially in this day and age, it's really, really important for us to get more comfortable with things that we're not familiar with, to seeing diverse film, to experiencing diverse culture. All of these things, because of this exercise, because of Irrfan Khan's career, I've been exposed to, and I really appreciate that. I think that's a really significant contribution to not just the film industry, but to the world. I think there are so many people that have experienced a little slice of Indian culture because of Irrfan Khan's role in a movie. And that's really significant. I think he has an excellent choice of roles. We saw, as you were saying earlier, Kyle, some of the things he turned down because he wanted to pursue something that seemed to be a better film or a better contribution overall. I think that's something I notice and really appreciate and add to him. Obviously would have loved to have seen if he had been able to act for 20 more years or so of what, you know, a more normal career lifespan would have been. That would have been wonderful, but we get what we get, and that's what we have to work with. None of his roles were really just like that stereotypical kind of typecast Indian guy, and I appreciate that. Maybe at some point early on in his career, when he was in Hollywood, he may have taken that on. But I think that's also significant, you know, that his roles all had depth and substance to them. I think that really also is important when you're crossing over into Hollywood and maybe you're the only Indian character in a film. And lastly, and just most simply, like of all the Munsons that I've covered, I think Irrfan Khan is the one that I probably want to love to have a cup of coffee with more than any of them. He just seems like a guy that would be a great hour plus spent. And so for all those things considered, I'm going to give him an 84.
James.
So like you guys, I fell quickly for him. He just, even in the movies I saw that were kind of corny, I thought he was doing great in them. He gives deeply earnest performances where, you know, with just his eyes, he lets you think that, you know, there's something deeper going on. What is he having anxiety about something? It's pretty incredible to watch. I also loved learning more about some Bollywood movies. Partition was everything I wanted one of those to be like, where it's just like, I want you to cry while watching this movie. And I appreciated it. It was like, I totally get it. And I haven't watched movies like that before, so I enjoyed that. I'm going to sound like a hater because my number is lower than you guys, but this is all out of love. I was late to the game on learning about Irrfan Khan, and these movies are great. But I'm going to give them a 75.
All right, Aubrey, round us out.
I think sometimes I find myself at a bit of a self-imposed disadvantage when doing this part because I do it so differently than you guys do. And I think this is one of the rare occasions where I am at a bit of an advantage because I don't need to know any of those extra things. I just need to see, can this guy go or not? And he can. He's got it all. He has every tool in the toolbox, I think. I think I was also lucky enough because with the way that we do this, it is a bit of a luck of the draw, whatever you see. You know, you might miss a movie that shows an ability or a skill or a talent that you wouldn't have seen in another movie. I got to see a wide array of what he can do. I felt like every movie I watched in prep for this taught me something about his acting ability. And I left each movie, even the ones I didn't like, more impressed with him than going into it. This is one of the reasons why I love this podcast. This is one of the reasons why I love movies, because there was a genuine excitement that I had just because I was exposed to this person and Bollywood. And I was enjoying it so much that I was excited for the fact that, like, there's a whole nother part of this thing that I love that I get to dive into now. And he's my gateway into that. I think it is absolutely tragic that he is gone because I think he would have had a long, fruitful career. But I think in terms of acting, he can do everything that I would need an actor to be able to do. The one thing that's really missing that seems like a glaring omission from his filmography is that one performance that is just like iconic. That one thing that you look at and you go, this performance was a game changer. And he doesn't have that. He has great performances, but they're in the midst of great films, which is not a bad thing, but I needed like a black swan. I needed something that was just like, fucking, this guy went to a whole nother planet.
Like a Jackie?
Yeah, I need something like that. I think he can be funny. He can do all different styles. He does drama well. From the sounds of it, he can do action well enough also. I assume he can sing and dance because he has to in movies that I didn't see. He can literally do everything. He's everything that you would want an actor to be. He does well in supporting cast. He does well as a lead. He can be a romantic lead. He can be a support in a romantic comedy. He does all the things that you'd want him to be. I think he is a great actor. And the great thing about cinema is now that I am a fan, even though he's gone, I still get to experience his work forever. And that I'm also really excited about. I will give him an 84.
So with that gives Irrfan Khan an 81.6, which puts him in 32nd place. So he's just behind Sam Rockwell and Mahershala Ali, and just ahead of Christoph Waltz and Allison Janney.
Love that for him.
Great spot.
Love that for us. That makes sense.
Rockwell, Mahershala, Irrfan, Waltz, and Allison Janney. That's a pretty good film if you had all five of them in your cast.
Yeah.
My God. Next episode's going to hit on February 12th. We've got Jim from Film Rage coming back. He was with us for Owen Wilson and Tina Fey. The Wheel had these five actors to pick from. They were Jason Biggs, Sandra Bullock, Charles Durning, Michael Rooker, and Maggie Q. Will selected one, and Jim decided to join us. Quickly, any immediate thoughts or reactions to those five actors?
Michael Rooker is the most fun.
Maggie Q? Who is this person?
You know Maggie Q.
I'll describe her how I remember her to you when this podcast is over.
I don't know much about her.
She looks incredibly familiar. I don't know if I've seen any of these movies.
Probably not.
Sandra Bullock is the choice.
For sure.
Definitely one of my longtime Hollywood crushes, even at her current age of mid to late 50s.
Some good movies to talk about there. Speed.
And all day in the 90s, right?
Miss Congeniality. Go back to the Michael Caine world.
Miss Congeniality, man.
Yep.
Aaron Brockovich, yep.
I want me and Aubrey to talk about The Blind Side for 45 minutes.
I was literally just about to say, then we get to talk about The Blind Side.
If we do Sandra Bullock, I might record on location from Birmingham.
Where's she from?
I think she's got some history there.
Okay.
Her dad might have been there or something.
Well, you didn't record on location for Andre Holland, so I don't think you're going to commit to it this time. You know,
That's true.
Lots of great choices. Y'all are up for another good show.
who do we think Jim would choose of the 5?
Ooh.
Charles Durning? I don't know if I know who that is either.
Only like straight up comedic actor, I guess, is the most adjacent to that is Jason Biggs.
Biggs?
That does not excite me.
Probably not. We'll see, because Mike Rodmaker doesn't decide. Jim doesn't decide. I don't decide. When people bribe me, the wheel decides. And we'll see what happens. Rodmaker, we love having you back, man. Thank you for being here. Thank you for digging into the world of Bollywood with us. You know how we do at the end of the episode. We roll out the red carpet for you. Any wise words or plugs for the audience? The floor is yours.
Tough times we live in. I would just say hold strong, keep talking to people. Remember that even though the world seems like a lot of doom and gloom, there are a lot of great people out there, a lot of people trying to do the right thing. And I would say to that point, keep speaking out. Keep saying what's important to you. Make sure other people around you that feel this doom and gloom are reminded that that is not what we all believe.
I love that. Very timely.
It's a healthy reminder, and I appreciate your all's friendship and continuing to involve me in this wonderful little podcast you've established. Sounds good. Always a pleasure, guys.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
As we wrap, you can always catch us on Threads and Instagram, Munsons at the Movies. You can email us at munsonsatthemovies@gmail.com. Any final thoughts from Irrfan Khan?
I suppose in the end, the whole of life becomes an act of letting go. But what always hurts the most is not taking a moment to say goodbye.
Munsons Out.
All right, let's go. Thank you for the education, gentlemen. We've just received a PhD in stupidity. Doctor, shall we?
Sir, I can't get a hold of your instructor.
Never mind. He's likely caught up in the evacuation.
You're sure there's nobody else who can fly a helicopter?
We don't need anyone else.